Hello and welcome to a new video. Taking the Honda Trail 125 out for a ride in Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm trying to think exactly what route I'll go on. Right now I'm on Brownsboro Road. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll cut through Indian Hills and then take it down by the Ohio River. But it's a beautiful April day. It's somewhere around 60 degrees for the high temperature. And nice and clear day. It rained a little bit yesterday, but not any significant amount. But yeah, it's Sunday, April 19th when I'm recording this. And this is a ride where the speed limits on the main roads are all 35 miles per hour. Well, for a little bit, then I think they go up. So I think, you know, cruising around with this bike, this is kind of a perfect speed limit. Because you can easily do 50 in almost all conditions, but the way people drive sometimes, if the speed limit's 35, you need to be able to do 50 to not get ran over. And it's that time of year when stuff is starting to get pretty green, starting to grow in a little bit. There's a golf course to the right. I think I need to get over. Because they're, I think I've gone on rides to a number of the places, I guess you can't turn left here anymore. I guess they've changed these traffic patterns. I'll have to turn here instead. And I think okay. But yeah, I think I've taken this bike through most of the easily accessible public access spaces that you can do a little bit of off-roading and not get in trouble. But then beyond that, you know, you really need to know somebody that has private property or something. And when it's a little bit, you know, it's like in the 50s, close to 60. So not cold by any means, but I don't always love taking this thing on long rides, going down these roads where the speed limits are, you know, 50 or whatever, so you're full throttle the entire time into the wind. Because it also just generally cuts down on what top speeds you can achieve as well. This is a pretty affluent neighborhood in Louisville, Kentucky. I think I've done rides through here before. A lot of older houses that are very big and very nice, very well maintained. don't know if the the camera is too wide to pick up some of the street signs. They're all very stereotypical stuff. You know, the neighborhood's Indian Hills. There's like Wampum Road and Warrior Road and Southwind Road. So there's a number of street names through here that are quite stereotypical. Probably would be named something different if this was developed today. But it's a really cool neighborhood. And they do take speed limits pretty seriously through here. Because they'll have all these little signs on the side of the road that measure your speed against the 25 mile per hour speed limit. Solar powered. And it's one of those things where when you actually maintain the speed limit, people will pass you. Because one thing with this Trail 125 is it's the 4-speed transmission. So, you know, on top of being a 125, it's not going to have a super high top speed, but with your 4 gears, you really should be in 4th gear by the time you go over 25 miles per hour. So you can't really utilize the transmission, the gears, to easily manage your speed, you know, once you're out of the really slow speeds. But a lot of nice scenery, you know, aside from the huge power lines and stuff. I think over to the left is the entrance to a golf course or a golf country club or whatever. And as you can see right in front of me, there's a cop. Sometimes they'll sit down here at the end of the of this road by this underpass with the radar gun out. So that's why I do tend to try and maintain the speed limit through here. I guess we'll see if River Road is opened back up, because it was... The last times I had gone through, it had parts of it shut down for road work. I think that's done now, but I guess I'll find out here in a second. Now that light I just went through can be a very long, annoying light to sit through if you're turning left. Because this bike is so light, I often worry that it's not triggering the sensors in the street for the turn signals. And then it's the Ohio River over to the left. There are a lot of interesting looking houses through here. Then way off in the distance is the East End Bridge that connects Kentucky and Indiana. There's a interesting looking house. And through here is some building that you can have through traffic on foot. You know, it's always interesting to me when people either personally mow their lawns into the perfect lines, or they have a lawn care service that does that. Mine is just mowed, not specifically well. Another kind of interesting looking house. Most of these houses that are right on the river, I don't ever really see anybody in them. There's all these fields back here that are very tempting to take something like this Trail 125 through on a ride, but the private property, so probably wouldn't go well. And then if there's a knocking noise that gets picked up in the audio, that's from my jacket's hood flapping in the wind and hitting the side of the helmet a little bit. And luckily I haven't had any cars really behind me this time, because even though the speed limit's 45 and this bike can do above that, it's still oftentimes not enough. So you'll have people passing you. Need to readjust this hood next time I take it out. Yeah, but this is a big, nice field that looks like it'd be really fun to go right through. I think when people think of Kentucky, this is often what they would think of, more so than, you know, the more urban areas in Louisville or other parts. But and this is, you know, not too far from the main city part. Because when I started out recording, it was, you know, Brownsboro Road, which is right by a bunch of houses and restaurants and stuff, so. And this is getting closer to, if you take the, so what now, this is by Harrods Creek. And this is getting close to Prospect, which is an affluent neighborhood of newer homes that are often quite large. And people have their private boat slips down there to put their boats in. And then if you want to go for a bike ride or a walk or a run, let's see if I can safely do this. There is a path Let's see. First, I'll go look at the down at the marina or the creek. Well, it's probably not that great of a view, but you see the creeks and the boats and the houseboats and the yachts and the runabouts and pontoon boats or whatever else people have. But straight ahead is the pedestrian path that allows you to go across the East End Bridge I pointed out earlier as I was going along the river. So you can park here under this overpass, and that's the entrance to the trail. So on foot, bike, whatever. I think I have a video I went through on an electric scooter. Just to show what it looked like. And then this area, like I said, it's getting close to Prospect. Like Oldham County. The speed limit through here is 35 miles per hour, so a little bit slower. That's a large building. It's being developed. So this is one of those routes that if you're in the area is a nice ride to go on. And this is, I think, gonna be US 42, which if you, Brownsboro Road would eventually go down here as well, the road I started on. So that road, the light there actually properly picked me up. And, now we're in Prospect. Like I said, there's a lot of larger homes. Like these houses have their own little private lake or pond with a fountain in it. Which, would be nice. But, very expensive homes. And, then, once you go past the stretch I was just in, then the things out here get a little bit more spaced out, a little bit more rural. Speed limit goes up, so probably time for me to turn around up here, because right now going uphill I'm doing 49 according to the speedometer, and the camera probably doesn't do justice to the level of grade of the road, but it wasn't just straight. Now we're in Oldham County. So then this again is a little bit more spaced out and a little bit more rural. So I'll wrap up here in a minute. Yeah, so I started in Louisville by Brownsboro Road. Then I went through Indian Hills down to River Road. Then I took River Road, parallel to the Ohio River, all the way till I got into Prospect. Then on US 42, just continued taking that till I crossed into Oldham County. Like I said, the houses, pretty decent size, spaced out, pretty affluent. You get some of the element of a smaller town with the proximity to all the stuff in Louisville, so you're not really, that far out. But yeah, so that was taking out the Honda Trail 125 for a ride. Until next time.